Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ya ikhwa wa ikhwat fi din al-Islam. Today I wanted to just share a couple of stories about the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all situations, trying to make a whole life ibadah, not just the ibadah part and then back to regular doing. We want to remember Allah in everything we do. So that's the point of the story. So inshallah, I'm gonna share with you a couple of stories that I heard a couple of Ramadans ago. One of them, and the other one I read in this little app I downloaded, like an Islamic stories app. So inshallah, I want to share those two stories with you because they have great morals to them. Inshallah ta'ala. So the first story was about a sheikh. He came to this town. I don't know what he came to the town for, but when he got there, he didn't have anywhere to stay. Long story short, so he went to the masjid. He went to sleep in the masjid. Security guard took him, drug him out, said you can't sleep here in the masjid. So he drug him and took him out of the masjid. And so the sheikh, he went to sleep on the stairs of the masjid. The security guard came back and told him he can't sleep there either. He was like, please, I'm from out of town. I don't have nowhere to stay. I'm just only gonna be here one night. And again, he drug him off the stairs into this middle of the street. So the sheikh, he went and laid on the front of this bakery in the shop. And the guy came out, the shopkeeper. He was like, "Are you okay? Can I help you with anything, brother?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have anywhere to stay. I'm gonna be here for one night. So I need somewhere to stay for just one night." He was like, "Oh, you can stay in my shop, no problem, brother." He was like, "Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair." So the shopkeeper, he began to work, and while he was working, the sheikh was watching him. And he noticed that every movement he did, he was doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the sheikh watched him for a little while longer, and he asked him, he said, "Can I ask you a question, brother?" He was like, "Sure, anything." He was like, "What benefits does this bring you?" He was like, "I've never had to ask Allah for anything. When I'm doing this, He answers all my du'as without me ever even having to ask him." And he was like, "Except for this one thing." He was like, "Well, what is this?" He was like, "I never met Sheikh Ahmed Hanbal." And then the Sheikh burst into tears because when he heard this, he was the sheikh that this guy was talking about. So Allah, alhamdulillah, like look at this lesson that Allah Ta'ala is showing us, if we stay in the remembrance of him, how he can bless us and in the way that he did it. Like, he was like, "No, you can't sleep in the masjid. You had to make me fulfill this brother's dua." And I'm like, alhamdulillah. So remembering Allah Ta'ala is one of the best things that you could do, because if you remember him, he remember you. If you remember him out loud, he remembers you out loud. In a group that you remember him, he remembers you in an even bigger group, So we want these blessings on us, inshallah. And then the other story is about a man who was a pious worshiper, an abbot, and he lived up in the hills somewhere, and all he did was worship, dhikr, salat, ibadah, And then he had a dream one night. He went to sleep, and in his dream, he dreamed that it was a man far more pious than him. So he's like, "I gotta meet this brother." When he woke up, he went down to the town, and he went to the shopkeeper's shop, and he watched him very, very closely. And he was trying to wonder what he was doing that was making him so pious, because he didn't see him doing anything in particular. So after a while, he went to the man and he asked him. He said, "Excuse me, I had this dream. I need you to tell me the meaning of it." So he said, "Okay, I'll tell you the meaning of the dream, but first you have to do one thing for me. What does the dream know?" So he's like, "All right, I had the dream that you're far more pious than me, but I don't really see anything that you're doing that's making you pious." He was like, "What is it that you're doing? Can you tell me?" He was like, "All right, just do this one thing for me first." He gave him a plate with mercury on it. He said, "Walk all the way down the street to the end of the block and then come back within 30 minutes without spilling none of the mercury." So he went out, he started walking. He was going pretty fast and the mercury almost spilled, so he had to slow down his pace a little, be a little bit more patient. And long story short, he got back in time without spilling none of the mercury. The shopkeeper asked him, he said, So how many times did you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you was doing this? He was like, I didn't think of them none. I was so busy trying to not spill the mercury. He was like, man, I deal with the mercury every day. And I still remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was like, I deal with my customers justly. I pray my prayers on time. And I always remember Allah in everything I do. So, alhamdulillah, that's a great blessing, to know that there's, like, Allah just loves someone that can remember him through all situations. It's one thing to be able to worship while you have nothing else other to do but that. But when you busy doing things, but you still conscious of Allah Ta'ala in the same situation. So, alhamdulillah for that. And jazakallah khair for tuning in for these reminders. I love you all for the sake of Allah. May Allah be pleased with all of you and enter you to the gates of Jannah Firdaus, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.